And we're back. It's the Information Week News Desk. We are at Interop, and I'm Sarah Peters. Our next guest was a keynote speaker this morning and also announced some exciting product news. He is VP of Product Management for Google Cloud, Sam Ramji. Sam, thank you so much for stopping by.
Sarah, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
You announced some really, really interesting things out of Google today that I'm very excited about, because I think a lot about security, I think a lot about secure development, but this is more, not so much secure development, but security of the development environment. So tell us, give us a rundown of all the things that Google brought forth for us today.
Sure, so I think that's really well said, right? The development and runtime environment is what we want to secure. So we talked about two big things, gVisor, which was announced in KubeCon today, and a Silo, which I announced here. So gVisor is a very low-level improvement to how we manage containers. It's consistent with the Open Container Initiative specification for container runtime, and it traps the Linux syscall interface to take the most risky operations and be able to scan what's actually happening as the container interacts with its environment. So it prevents exploits like the container escaping and getting into other parts of your internals. So basically, it protects the environment from what's in the container. A Silo is the mirror image, which is kind of awesome. A Silo allows you as a container owner, right? You're putting something into the cloud or somebody else's environment. You want to make sure that nothing about the operating system or the hypervisor or anything else can really see what's happening in there. It doesn't know what's being executed, doesn't see the code. This is something called enclaving, or confidential computation. So this is a really interesting thing, and what a Silo does is provides a very simple, consistent abstraction so that anybody can take a container and say, I want this to be run confidentially,
right,
either on an Intel SGX or an AMD SEV or any of these different architecture-specific types of trusted execution environments. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, lives inside a bigger universe of DevSecOps and kind of how we make the secure software by design and then secure it in production.
Oh, but that's great, because it allows, if you're able to have it in more isolation and have that confidentiality, then it takes away some of those concerns that security people do have about the security of all of that intellectual property. Because things in development, no matter what it is, whether it's an application or whether it's a blueprint for some, for something else that's being about to be manufactured, that intellectual property is something that is very, very precious to secure, and that's a new way of doing it. You also are making the Google Kubernetes Engine assets available in the Cloud Security Command Center. So tell me why that is important as well.
Yeah, that's critical so that you can get the whole DevSecOps team on one page and you can understand what kind of alerts and actions you need to take on your environment. So we host Kubernetes in Google Cloud Platform. It's called GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine. And then all the containers that you store in that are in GCR, right, Google Container Registry. We want to be able to provide one consistent pane of glass where your whole team can look at the same problem and cluster around it. So if you have a serious security incident, you want everybody who can participate to do so, stop what they're doing, and coordinate really effectively around this data. So that's what the Security Command Center is about, and being able to create a really highly secure environment for deploying, scaling, and operating containers. You absolutely have to have GKE and GCR supported in the Command Center.
When I'm listening to all of these different things, it makes me think that this is part of, I never know, I can never decide if I want to call it DevSecOps or SecDevOps, and nobody can ever decide what they want to call it either.
Emphasis, syllable.
Yeah, tomato, tomato. But of that, really a big piece of that movement of trying to get security able to move at the same pace of DevOps. Am I giving you too much credit, or was that part of the inspiration for some of this?
Definitely part of the inspiration. I mean, so much of what we're doing in Google Cloud is recognizing we started scaling Google so long ago that we had to invent a lot of the fundamental techniques that are now considered cloud computing, which include site reliability engineering, which kind of is a part of how we think about DevOps. But we have a very secure infrastructure, right? You think about search, ads, YouTube, these are all extremely secure applications. It's because we do it in layers, right? We make sure that the code that our developers write is secure. We make sure the dependencies that they take on other software is secure. We make sure the containers that are produced are secure. We make sure we know where the vulnerabilities might live if we need to patch the fleet. So it's secure by design all the way through. And then of course we've got this fabulously secure and scalable network, right? So all of the classical NetOps, SecOps aspects show up there. But I think what we've done effectively is push the beginning of the security process to when you were writing code and making sure that good quality code is making it through and bad quality code is getting flagged, and that we're automating the assistance that humans need to be able to be more effective.
Well, Sam, I think it's pretty exciting stuff. Thank you so much for stopping by to tell me about it. It's been a pleasure having you here. Sam Ramji. Now don't you move. We've got more News Desk after this.